Good morning. A lot of times we start the prelude as people enter and get settled. I'm really glad that you're already settled today because you don't want to miss the prelude. Skylar?
Great, thank you. All those times at your mom's house years ago, that feeling that you get when you stayed up too late and borrowed her clothes. You wished to be a girl more than anything else in the world. Maybe a genie or a spell could set your mind at ease and you could be yourself without losing anybody else. Oh, can't you see? You mean everything in the world to me. When I look at you, I know all the pain you've had to go through for so long. So long. All the guilt that you've carried through the years. One day you'll realize that it was never really yours to bear. There's nothing wrong with you, and I'm so sorry you were lied to. You're beautiful, and that's the truth. Oh, can't you see? You mean everything in the world to me. And when I look at you, I know all the pain you've had to go through. Just think of all the time you've still got left, so don't you leave yet. Everyone you know is blind, so let them know before you go, and they might surprise you still. Everything you've been through is real. They still can change their minds. They might just need some time. Oh, can't you see? You mean everything in the world to me. And when I look at you, I know all the pain you've had to go through.
Thank you, Skylar. That was beautiful. Hi, everybody. I'm Jules. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a member of the choir as well as the chalice team that plans our Sunday services. And I'd like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and journey. We uphold the unity of our interconnections, our connections to each other, to all of life, and to the precious universe of which we are a part. We affirm the universality of love and hope as we journey together in community. We welcome you, whoever you are at this moment, and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. Welcome. For those of us join us for the first time on Facebook, please check out our website, uufayetteville.org, for more information and to sign up to receive our weekly email. You can always unsubscribe if you wish. For those of us who are visiting us here in person today, you will find in the seat back of your chair A visitor information card, we'd love for you to fill that out so we can get you on the email list and keep you informed of the happenings. And if you already gave your name and your contact information, you don't need to do it again. And thank you so much for doing that. It helps us grow our community. There's also a yellow card right here in the seat back of the chair in front of you. And this is a card for joys and concerns. If you have a joy or concern that you'd like to share, we invite you to fill out one of these cards. And there's a place for you to indicate on here if you would like it to be shared or kept within our leadership. In a few minutes, you'll have an opportunity to bring these cards up here and to drop a stone if you would like. If you're watching on Facebook, you can write in your joys and concerns at that time also, please. And you're welcome to come up and just drop a stone without giving a card. And hopefully the ripples of the water will help to bring us together and show how our love can spread out. Thank you so much for joining us for this service. And now we're going to have some opening words by our minister, the Reverend Dr. Stephen Gaines.
Thank you, Jules. My name is Stephen, and my pronouns are they, them, and sometimes he, him. Wow. I'm so glad that you chose to be with us today on this holiday weekend. I know that there are many ways that you could spend your time, and so we are grateful that you are here. Last Sunday was Transgender Day of Remembrance, and I was involved in another Trans Remembrance service in another state, and so we are doing Trans Remembrance today. In the service that I was part of last Sunday, the local minister there and I worked together on the service, so this welcome message is a collaborative event, a collaborative effort, drawing from multiple sources. Transgender Day of Remembrance is an annual event where we honor the memories of those who were murdered as a result of transphobia and give direct attention to the continued violence endured by trans people, particularly and disproportionately suffered by transgender women and girls of color. The first Transgender Day of Remembrance was led by Gwendolyn Ann Smith, a transgender woman in memory of another transgender woman, Rita Hester, an African-American woman who was murdered in Allston, Massachusetts on November 28, 1998. In response to her murder, an outpouring of grief and anger led to a candlelight vigil held the following Friday, December 4th, in which about 250 people participated. The community struggled to see Rita's life and identity covered respectfully by local media. Since then, Trans Day of Remembrance has been evolving from the web-based project started by Smith into an international day of action. In 2010, Trans Day of Remembrance was observed in over 185 cities throughout more than 20 countries. A quote from Smith sums it up nicely. Transgender Day of Remembrance seeks to highlight the losses we face due to anti-transgender bigotry and violence. I'm no stranger to the need to fight for our rights, and the right to simply exist is first and foremost. With so many seeking to erase transgender people, sometimes in the most brutal ways possible, it is vitally important that those we lose are remembered and that we continue to fight for justice. And a recent article in the Washington Post reports that anti-trans bills at the state level have increased from 19 in 2018 to 25 in 2019 to 60 in 2020 to 131 last year and 155 this year. The violence continues. As we continue that fight, I'm happy with our current president's perspective. Last year, the White House made an official statement on November 20th that concluded with this call to action. Transgender people are some of the bravest Americans I know, but no person should have to be brave just to live in safety and dignity. Today we remember. Tomorrow and every day we must continue to act. And now Ollie has our chalice lighting.
Hello, my name is Ali. My pronouns are he, him, his. Please join me in lighting the chalice. The words are on the screen and in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and truth, and to help one another. Thus do we covenant together.
Oh, and in this congregational hymn, we will be led by video. Please sing along if you want. And you're free to rise.
This house is full of friends who give encouragement. This house is yours. It offers dignity, and here your heart is free. This house is yours.
Morning, everyone. Today's story is called I Am Jazz. It's written by Jessica Herthel and Jazz Jennings, and the pictures are by Sheila McNicholas. I am Jazz. For For as long as I can remember, my favorite color has been pink. My second favorite color is silver. And my third favorite color is green. Here are some of my other favorite things: dancing, singing, backflips, drawing, soccer, swimming, makeup, and pretending I'm a pop star. Anybody else like any of those things? Most of all, I love mermaids. Sometimes I even wear a mermaid tail in the pool. My best friends are Samantha and Casey. We always have fun together. We like high heels and princess gowns, or cartwheels and trampolines. But I'm not exactly like Samantha and Casey. I have a girl brain but a boy body. This is called transgender. I was born this way. When I was very little and my mom would say, "You're such a good boy," I would say, "No, Mama, good girl." At first, my family was confused. They had always thought of me as a boy. As I got a little older, I hardly ever played with trucks or tools or superheroes, only princesses and mermaid costumes. My brothers told me this was girl stuff, but I kept right on playing. My sister said I was always talking to her about my girl thoughts and my girl dreams, and how one day I would be a beautiful lady. She would giggle and say, "You're a funny kid." Sometimes my parents let me wear my sister's dresses around the house, but whenever we went out, I had to put on my boy clothes again. This made me mad. Still, I never gave up trying to convince them. Pretending I was a boy felt like telling a lie. Then one amazing day, everything changed. Mom and Dad took me to meet a new doctor who asked me lots and lots of questions. Afterward, the doctor spoke to my parents, and I heard the word transgender for the very first time. And that night at bedtime, my parents both hugged me and said, "We understand now. Be who you are. We love you, no matter what." This made me smile and smile and smile. Mom and Dad told me I could start wearing girl clothes to school and growing my hair long, and they even let me change my name to Jazz. Being Jazz felt much more like being me. Mom said that being Jazz would make me different from other kids at school, but that being different is okay. What's important, she said, is that I'm happy with who I am. Being Jazz caused some other people to be confused too, like the teachers at school. At the beginning of the year, they wanted me to use the boys' bathroom and play on the boys' team in gym class, but that didn't feel normal to me at all. I was so happy when the teachers changed their minds. I can't imagine not playing on the same team as Casey and Samantha. Even today, there are kids who tease me or call me by a boy name or ignore me altogether, and this makes me feel crummy. Then I remember that the kids who get to know me usually want to be my friend. They say I'm one of the nicest girls in school. I don't mind being different. Different is special. I think what matters most is what a person is like inside. And inside, I am happy. I am having fun. I am proud. I am Jazz. And on the other side are some pictures of Jazz. Isn't she beautiful? Thank you.
As a diverse people, we share our various joys and concerns. Sometimes we're happy, and sometimes we're devastated. Sometimes we rejoice, and sometimes we mourn. In all of those times, we support and care for each other. So we invite you to share your ups and downs as you desire. If you're invited to come to the front and to drop a stone for any of your joys or concerns, shared or confidential, expressed or held in your heart. And as you drop your stone, may you experience that spreading and that ripple of love and support. You may also bring your cards to me or hold your cards up and someone will come around and pick them up. And if you need to just stay where you are, just feel free and just raise your hand. Someone will pick up your cards. Or you can thank you. And if you're attending with us virtually and on Facebook, please go ahead and write your joys and concerns into the chat. And those comments will definitely be public. Thank you. Drop the stones for the joys and concerns not expressed today that we hold in our hearts. And we drop stones for the joys and concerns that we will experience throughout this week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the offering. And the important work of this fellowship is possible because of generous contributions of time, energy, and money. Every contribution of every size is helpful and appreciated. As we pass the offering baskets, we invite you to share financially. If you prefer, you may give online at uufayetteville.org or mail checks to our office. If you're visiting us for the first time today, please feel no pressure. And now, Reverend Stephen would like to give us a reading.
I invite you to receive these words by Tess Baumberger. Let us make this earth a heaven, right here, right now. Who knows what existence's death will bring? Let us create a heaven here on earth where love and truth and justice reign. Let us welcome all at our pearly gates, our freedom table, amid singing and great rejoicing, black, white, yellow, red, and all our lovely colors, straight, gay, transgendered, bisexual, and all the ways of loving each other's bodies, blind, deaf, mute, healthy, sick, variously abled, young, old, fat, thin, gentle, cranky, joyous, sorrowing. Let no one feel excluded. Let no one feel alone. May the rich let loose their wealth to reign upon the poor. May the poor share their riches with those too used to money. May we come to venerate the earth, our mother, and tend her with wisdom and compassion. May we make our earth an Eden, a paradise. May no one wish to leave her. May hate and warfare cease to clash in causes too old and tired to name. Religion, nationalism, the false god of gold, deep-rooted ethnic hatreds. May these all disperse and wane. May we see each other's true selves. May we all dwell together in peace and joy and understanding. Let us make a heaven here on earth before it is too late. Let us make this earth a heaven for each other's sake. And now Skylar has an original song for us, The Closet.
It's loneliness and they don't talk about. Feeling like everything is all your fault. Feeling all these things we're going through. Living up to everybody's view of you. You're surrounded by all your friends.
let's enter a time of remembrance with a ritual written by Amy Brooks. We invite you to join us in saying the repeated bold words on the screen. We bear witness. Each time we say those words, Ollie will light a candle in remembrance.
We people gathered here today on the quest for truth and meaning bear witness.
We bear witness. To the record of human lives extinguished simply because these people dared to live authentically, we bear witness.
To the lives and reported deaths, to the lives and reported deaths of more than 300 transgender people globally so far this year.
We bear witness. To the lives and reported deaths of more than 50 transgender people in these United States so far this year.
To the unreported ones, uncounted ones, the unnamed many, whose lives and deaths will only ever be known by the universe.
We bear witness. In these times of heightened anxiety, we who are gathered here today reject the teachings of division and ignorance and commit to siding with love against hatred. We bear witness.
Against closed-minded ideologies that excuse evil acts in the name of religion.
We bear witness. Against any administration that seeks to fuel their rise to power by threatening the lives of transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people. We bear witness.
Against systemic power structures that treat transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, particularly those who are people of color, as being anything less than human.
We bear witness. On this day, we who are queer folk and allies gathered together uphold our first principle that speaks to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We bear witness.
For those transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people who are gathered among us today, we bear witness.
For those who are allied to the cause of protecting our transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary siblings, we bear witness.
For those who exist boldly, unapologetically, in public space as fully authentic transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people,
we bear witness. These remembered deaths have not gone unnoticed. We bear witness.
Sacred, transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary lives do not go unnoticed by us.
A Jewish teacher long ago apparently told a parable, a story that's known as the Good Samaritan. In that story, someone is beat up and left to die. A few powerful people walk by and do nothing. Then an outsider finally stops to help. In this next song, Skylar offers a new version of that ancient story.
Lying in the street, cold air's blowing hard and she's starting to freeze. Her wig was ripped off and was thrown in a tree. No one walking by could spare a shred of empathy, can't you see? And everyone thinks they would be the Good Samaritan, but she was trans, so they left her lying there, beaten and broken, crying and hoping the next person couldn't be the one. She's spotted by a pastor, but he walks right past her. She's clearly not living the faith. She's spotted by a deacon. Could he be the reason to hope that she might be saved? But he too walks away. And everyone thinks they would be the Good Samaritan, but she was trans, so they left her lying there, beaten and broken, crying and hoping the next person couldn't be the one. A Muslim man walks up to her, carries her to a doctor, covers her bills that night. Make sure she is okay, 'cause he's been left beaten that way. He knows what it feels like. Misunderstood parables, poor faith, Christian rules trying to obscure what's right. But Jesus spelled it out, love others as you do yourself, not just if they're Christian and white. We're all human, just like yourself, full of hopes, dreams, worries, and doubts. We all show compassion to those we see ourselves in. Try to see yourself in everyone else. Try to see yourself in everyone else. 'Cause everyone thinks they would be the Good Samaritan, but she was trans, so they left her lying there, beaten and broken, crying and hoping the next person couldn't be the one. Could you be the one? Could you be the one? We're all human, just like yourself, full of hopes, dreams, worries, and doubts. We all show compassion to those we see ourselves in. Try to see yourself in everyone else. Thank you.
I looked at the names and faces and stories of the trans people reported lost in this year, in the past year. You can find those online. It's painful. And it seems that most of them, at least in the past 12 months, have been in their 20s and 30s. Some younger. And I appreciate those of you who are cisgender and here today with us. And it wasn't until after I knew that I was non-binary that I learned that as non-binary, I also am trans. Because in the trans world, we have trans women and trans men and non-binary trans and gender queer, gender fluid, etc. If you aren't cis, you're trans. If you want that. So I've been doing a lot of reading, and two very helpful books came out this year. One is by historian Kit Hayem. It's called Before We Were Trans, A New History of Gender. Fascinating. We haven't always had the word trans, but trans history is long and deep. And another one is called In Transit, Being Non-Binary in a World of Dichotomies by Diana E. Anderson, who has a master's degree in English and a master's degree in women's studies from Oxford. And I wanted to share a few words from this. This book combines academic stuff and personal story in a fascinating way. Back when I was presenting as and believed I was cis, most of the stories about trans and non-binary bodies I heard were stories of tragedy. Trans women and men whose names we recounted on the annual Trans Day of Remembrance. Trans men and women who were brutally killed for failing to perform toxic masculinity, and the struggles of years waiting for proper medical care thanks to gatekeeping. Non-binary people occasionally featured in those stories, mostly as those who found themselves out of work with no recourse because they came out, or those who had to recloset because attempting to explain who they were was just too much. For many, trans lives are characterized by the violence we have experienced, the erasure of ourselves and our stories, both physical and psychological, is a through line of the narrative the cis world will listen to. But death shouldn't be our primary story. Dashawn Harrison, a non-binary Black activist in Atlanta, writes that despite identifying as non-binary and using they/them pronouns, they are frequently reinscribed to be male when they critique from their position as a Black and non-binary person. They write, "When you exist in a fat and Black body, that violence only becomes worse. So people grow comfortable with being transphobic toward non-binary people because the violence transgressed against our bodies has not yet been directly translated to death. Thus, they cannot build social, political, and/or economic capital off of our lives." Harrison's point is important here. Much of the time when trans discourse enters the mainstream, it is tied to the specter of death, particularly against AMAB, assigned male at birth, Black and brown bodies, because many of these people are seen to be transgressing typical standards of masculinity. For many in the cis community, not you, for many in the cis community, dead trans people are a mechanism for capital. They can fundraise off our lives, off of violence prevention, quote, violence prevention, without ever having to be confronted by the complicated and complex narrative of the self the trans person speaks. And the tragic violence against our community is so often the entryway into discussion for cisgender people that transness becomes associated with death and violence, which ends up dehumanizing the trans experience of joy and euphoria in being who they are, and instead recenters cisgender transphobic violence as the overarching narrative of our lives. What's missing from the conversation, though, is that joy. We must imagine transgender identity as divorced from death, as not a life-taking force, but a life-giving one. We must see and reflect the joy we experience when someone uses our correct pronouns for the first time, when the doctor responds to your coming out by correcting your chart and asking you how you would like to proceed. We must be able to see ourselves happy in the everyday banality of real life, to understand the whole of the trans experience. So on this day of remembrance, we remember the pain and we celebrate the joy. And if we're joyful, realistically joyful, not pretending that pain doesn't exist, but if we can find joy and life, that can spread joy to other people. And that's what this next song is about, This Little Light of Mine, again led by video. You're free to join in. Let's rise.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I'll never blow it out, no, I'm gonna let it shine. I'll never blow it out, no, I'm gonna let it shine. I'll never blow it out, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Just like the moon, I'm gonna let it shine. Just like the sun, I'm gonna let it shine. Just like the stars, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine,
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice.
Thank you so much for this service. It's really important, and I'm really glad that I was here, and I'm glad that all of you were here too. We have a few announcements. They're on the screen and in this week's newsletter, but I want to highlight a couple of important events. One is happening today. It's our Accessibility and Inclusivity Working Group. And it's a Zoom meeting at 4. We also wanted to mention that we are in the midst of our pledge drive, even though we always forget to say that. But we are in the midst of the pledge drive, and so we appreciate anything that you can give us. Again, you can go online, etc. Thank you. And I want to personally tell you that next week will be a special service, and it'll be a service about our UU youth, and they'll be conducting most of the service. And also we've put together a performance for you, and I shaped it a little bit, but it's all them. It came from our youth and what they're learning through the UU values. And so it's really great, and I hope you'll be here next week to get to witness that. And Reverend Dr. Stephen would like to give us some closing words, please.
I think I saw on there that the justice team also is meeting this week, Thursday evening. Thank you for being here. I hope that you were able to find some joy and some acceptance here today. We all belong here. I invite you to stay seated to enjoy the postlude by Skylar. That's a little different than how we sometimes do things. After she performs the song, we can move around and visit as she continues with some instrumental music without words. Skylar?
Thank you. It's like achieving the goals of your childhood dream, and it'd be everything that you hoped it'd be, and no one can know just how much that it means, so I'm sorry for it being my whole personality. It's like having your life in a constant fight and seeing your friends all around you die. And no one can see this, so they ask you why you're so triggered all the time. I guess out of sight, out of mind. So I will be visible. I'll take very roots now, so you don't have to. When you decide to come out, don't worry, we're working to make the world safer. You shouldn't have to be brave to show the world who you are. It's like finding the cure for your chronic pain and realizing that you enjoy your life again. But people who don't understand try to ban the medicine, thinking that they've done the right thing. So I will be visible. I'll take very roots now, so you don't have to. When you decide to come out, don't worry, we're working to make the world safer. You shouldn't have to be brave to show the world who you are. We're soldiers in a fight we don't want with you. We just want to live our lives and be happy too. But somehow that is asking way too much. And guess it's 'cause we're different, so we're easier to punch. We're soldiers in a fight we don't want with you. We just want to live our lives and be happy too. But somehow that is asking way too much. I guess it's 'cause we're different, so we're easier to punch. So I will be invisible. I'll take very routes now, so you don't have to. When you decide to come out, don't worry, we're working to make the world safer. You shouldn't have to be brave to show the world who you are.